everybody. Oh man, I got a smooth guy on the channel today. Oh, you're gonna like this, brother. I'm telling you, I'm Anthony Brogdon, and I don't play with you. This is Strong Inspirations where I give it to you straight, no chaser. I get people to come on this show, heavyweight folk who are doing incredible things in the community for the benefit of the community, and also they are sharing some history stories that, oh man, it's gonna make you stagger. Oh, like this guy here. Let me tell you something, people. I was in Atlanta at a conference, and it was all these big time people walking all around me and everything, and my man was one of them, right? And I saw him on the stage. And I said, dang, who the brother on the stage? And he was talking about, and I'm not going to tell you what he was talking about because you're going to hear it in a second. But what he was talking about was extremely impressive. And so, I'm one of them kind of guys. I didn't get up because I wasn't looking at my cell phone at the time my man was talking. And so then I went over to him and I said, hey, man, let me, I got this show and I'd like for you to come on the show. My man said, cool. And then he walked away. He gave me a card because he's busy. He gave me the card and he walked away. I was like, yeah, cool. I'm calling that brother immediately to have him on Strong Inspirations. And he, man, I got to tell you, I don't lie to you, my guest. And we were supposed to do it earlier in the day. I kind of slipped up and had the wrong day and time. He called me and said, where are you, dude? And here we are, my friends. I'm not playing with you, with the people that come on. So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspiration. We got over 2,500, 2,600 subscribers. And I like all y'all. And to those of you who have not subscribed, I know you want to. You're wondering what it is. It don't ask no information, don't cost no money. I do this out the goodness of my heart. And hit the like button. There is no love button. You're going to love what my man's saying. Hit the notifications bell so you get a ding, a shock, a smoke signal. Your dog kicks you. Your lights flicker in your house. Something happens to let you know there's new content on Strong Inspirations. And then lastly, don't keep this to yourself. You sitting there and you going out and you telling these people, hey, all of this good stuff that you are learning here, and don't tell them where you get it from, acting like you all smart and everything, because you are. Do that, my friends. And you in them schools, in them classrooms, y'all watch this. Did you see the one I did with the guy who has bought the land that his great-grandfather was enslaved on, and he's a farmer and very profitable? Watch that video. Did you see the one I did with the guy, he grows rice? And I was out there with him in South Carolina. I was at a festival. And when I got out the car, he said, wait, man, you got to make sure ain't no alligators. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, this was dangerous territory when them enslaved people had to do this. And the snakes and the moccasins or whatever else. And my man gonna tell you a little bit about that in that rice harvesting. Watch that video. Did you see the one I did with the guy who owns the oldest Black-owned business in America? The founder was enslaved and it's still operating today. Watch that video. Lastly, I'm public speaking now, my friends, and people are calling me. They say, man, we want you to come through and tell some of these stories based on this. Check it out, my friends. I'm a filmmaker. I did this documentary called Business in the Black. I took it to 40 cities. I stumbled across information that there were enslaved Black folks who owned business. Tripped me out. I was a decent student too. I'd never heard that. And so I did a film about it. I went one step further. I wrote a book on it. Boom shakalaka, my friends. Get you a copy of this book. Do it today. It's very reasonably priced. Oh man, I got 30 enslaved Black-owned businesses in here and so much more. I got one more for you. I'm this good. I did a children's book on this. I don't even mention the word slavery if you live in Texas and Florida. They don't want you to say that. Get you a copy of that. Go to my website, businessintheblack.net, and learn all about me, where I am. Contact me. You want me to come speak? I'm very reasonable on my honorarium because this is my mission. This is God's work at this point. I'm that committed to this. So let's do that, my friends. Now, you hear me use this term strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. In my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to the guest today. He's a strong soul brother. Come on the channel, man. Introduce yourself. Let's get it on.
Thank you, Anthony. My name is PJ Haney. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, brother. Oh, y'all gonna like, ooh, you gonna like this, my friends. Watch out now. Not okay, so brother, tell us where were you born and raised?
I was born in a small rural town on the coastal plains of Virginia. My family hails from Northumberland County, Virginia, small town called Reedville.
And is it black people in the town, white people in the town?
Yeah, it's the county. Not much of a town, it's the county, Northumberland County. And yeah, there's a little good mix of everybody in the town. A lot of good folks up in there. A lot of real coastal community. So we're made up of farmers and fishermen. That's where we are.
Okay, how close is this town to the next big city? Give us a little idea of where.
About an hour and a half east of Richmond, Virginia. 2.5 hours southeast of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And 2 hours north of Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay. But it's on the Atlantic Ocean coast. Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, we're right on the peninsula where the Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay meet, an area known as the northern neck of Virginia, that northeast corner.
Oh, so it's beautiful country, I would suspect.
It's God's country, brother. It's God's country.
Where did you grow up on a farm or did you grow up in the neighborhood, that kind of thing?
Grew up on the farm. I grew up on a farm that my father bought. It was an abandoned dairy farm. And my grandfather's farm was just a few miles up the road. Dad had the opportunity to buy a farm. And my grandfather told him, he said, son, a black man hadn't bought a farm like this in this county before. Might have a little trouble. And he was right. He was right.
Okay, hold on. We're going to get into that. I want to skip over that. Just stay on you just a tad. So how did you get to school? Did you have to catch a bus? Had to walk? How did you get to grade school and stuff?
Walk down the lane, about 200 yards from the house, hopped on the yellow cheese bus and rode on into school.
And how far was school? How far was the bus ride?
Elementary school was within 3 miles. Middle school was about 10. High school was about 12, 15 miles. So
okay. And so you know everybody in town. It's that small, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay.
You know, people know your families. You know, the good part about small town USA is if you're out in the community doing something stupid, your mom and daddy gonna know before you get home. So it's just small town USA. Okay. A rural community. Growing up, we didn't have any stoplights in the county. Now we have 2.
What did you do to play? I mean, because there wasn't much around there other than farming type stuff. How does a kid keep pastime or where? You know, going up the years and stuff like that.
I was involved in sports, but you know, for me, my daddy bought me tractors to drive, and that was my entertainment. You know, at 9, 10 years old, I'm driving a tractor just like a 40-year-old grown man on the farm. So that was my entertainment. I wanted to do what the big boys was doing. So started driving tractors at a very early age. I remember the first one I got on, I couldn't reach the clutch. Daddy told me he got it started for me. He said, if anything happened, he told me to choke it out and stop it. So just been doing that all my life.
Did y'all hunt the food that you ate, if I may ask?
No, sir. No, I didn't hunt it. We didn't grow up raising produce. We're a commodity operation, row crop farm. Corn that we raise, we sell it to companies that make feed. We sell corn to Tyson's. They grind it for feed for chickens. We sell corn to Smithfield. They grind it and feed it for hogs. Our soybeans are crushed for soybean meal. That's fed for animals. So we're a commodity operation, large acre row crop farm.
So you had to go to the supermarket to get dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big city man. I don't mean no disrespect in these questions. So, like, you ain't never seen your mom didn't have to wring the chicken's neck, and cook chicken and all that kind of stuff.
No, Mama didn't do that. Granddaddy had a smokehouse and kill hogs on the farm. I remember that as a kid, but I didn't go through that. I didn't have to do that. Uh,
Okay.
you know, when I grew up, I graduated from high school in '95. So
Yeah.
uh,
Okay. Okay. How about this? Does flies bother you? I knew a guy that he grew up on a farm. He liked flies. He'd been around flies, little flies, you know, flies flying around your head. Does that bother you?
yeah, they're a nuisance. Uh, you know, out here working late, you get these mosquitoes that's flying around your head, and that's what drives you, gets you, drives you crazy. But no, flies don't bother me.
Okay. What about okay, how about this one? Again, I mean, no, are you a country boy? Is that what we would call you? Is that
I
what's
am a
do you
country boy.
mind that being
No,
said
sir.
that about you?
I appreciate it. I appreciate being a country boy because not everybody can be a country boy. Too many city boys. I like being a country boy. I'm in my groove being a country boy. You know, in college, my fraternity brothers would laugh at my big old pickup truck, call me a country boy coming down the street. But then by the time I graduated, they all want to be driving pickup trucks. So I was happy in my place right there, brother.
I got a couple more on that. Does the big city scare you?
No, sir. You know, I like the city. I like the diversity, the different food. You know, I grew up in a small town and, you know, it's only one or two restaurants. So you don't have that much opportunity for trying different foods and cultures. So I enjoy traveling, but I don't enjoy the traffic and the congestion. And I call them the big old concrete asphalt jungles of the world. I need to be out where I can have some wind in my jaws and sun in my face and dusty gravel roads, Anthony.
Uh,
That's what
just a couple more on that. Does being in the big city, you're around people. Being on the farm, are you by yourself a lot?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. I'm by myself typically on a large piece of equipment out in the fields. Now I've got men that work for me and I got a crew. A lot of times we're out late at night on tractors or combines. I just got off the combine. We just got rained out the field over here. Started cutting rice today. And I'm completely fine with that.
You like looking up at the moon because there's no light around and all that kind
Right.
of stuff.
That's right. You know, you
Okay.
got a good relationship with the good Lord, I'd say, at
Yeah.
late at night when you're on a piece of machine and you're looking at the moon and you know it's glistening across the field.
Yeah.
That's all
Okay.
right.
Okay. Let's go in this direction. Do you know where the enslavement is in your family?
I know that uh, my great grandfather was the first African American to come out of slavery and purchase land in my home county on September 14th, 1867. So I go back to him 5 generations that started my family on this journey in farming.
Do you know how you did it?
I don't know, other than hear the stories that he bought his way out of slavery, and I
Oh,
also
daddy.
heard how my my grandfather, well, my father, and my grandfather would tell me stories of how you know some of my ancestors couldn't go to school during harvesting season because they had to work on a white man's farm, and they couldn't go to school when it was planting or harvesting season. They only went to school during the winter months. So I learned a lot about history. And you know, when I think about where we are now as Black people that own land in this country, it's not a lot of us in that boat, and I'll be
Yeah.
glad to dive into that a little bit later in this interview because
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of people know, you know, the real understanding of Black land loss.
Yeah. How about this one? And you kind of alluded to it before, and I'm a go in this direction with this one because I keep it real on the show. Have you ever been called a nigger
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had.
growing
And,
up, later
yeah,
in life, both?
growing up, later in life, uh, I think the last, I was out of college. I was probably in my 30s on that last one, and he wouldn't do that again.
Well, oh, how about the first one? Well, growing up, was there race relations in your town where you grew up that you had to be careful of?
No, I didn't. I mean, I things change from physical to economical. You know, when you gotta go in the bank and look at someone that doesn't look like you and ask for money to borrow. I heard stories from my father of how threats he was given, and as he was growing the farm and trying to pick up more land and the challenges he had. I remember one particular night we parked our equipment on a farm, about 4 tractors that all of us were on that night. Come back the next morning, all the equipment was shot up, windows busted out of it. So those are some things that have been done, and it's not necessarily a name call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And you alluded to the earlier. You said when your great grandfather bought that land, and his father told him, you better be careful now that you done did that. That's kind of what you talking about.
That's right. Grandfather told my father that. Seriously, he had some buildings catch on fire, burn up livestock and equipment. You know, uh, in rural America where we live and operate in this agricultural space, it's a little different, Anthony. And a lot of people that didn't grow up that way, they really wouldn't understand. But some of your viewers who did, they probably can really relate to that.
Okay, I want to stay on this because that's what we do here on the show. What is? Do you know? Are there KKK still out in your town? Had you seen KKK? Any of that
I
kind
have
of thing?
not. I have not. I have not. No. Um, I cannot honestly tell you that I have, but you know, I think when we look at present day where we are, you know, you can tell the attitude of a man or a woman by how they look at you and talk to you. And for someone who's grew up working hard, went off to college, got an education, came back and worked hard, worked 7 days a week, 100+ hours a week sometimes. And when people don't respect a working man, that's the obvious in that case, situation, Anthony. Um, it's very difficult to try to encourage the next generation to endure a lot of the intimidation and the challenges that we have, but we're trying to show the positives of agriculture. You know, Oftentimes people think farming is just plows, cows, and sows, but it's not. And today we're operating at a total different scale. This isn't granddaddy's farm anymore. The automation that we're using and equipment, tractors driving themselves down the field with GPS guidance, and we don't even touch the steering wheel anymore. So we've come a long way. We still got a long ways to go, but it's pretty impressive to see. I wish my grandfather could see where we are today and how we're operating today on the scale.
I want to stay on this just a tad more. Just one more question. Has your family ever faced anything? I know you said they shot up the tractors. Did anything ever happen to your grandfather where they came to try to lynch him or something like that, if I may ask?
No, no, not aware of that. Not my grandfather, but I did read about a story and told me about a black man that was lynched on a farm that my family eventually owned. But like I said, I was.
Okay, okay, okay. Let me ask you one more. Sharecropping. Your family never did that, right?
No, we didn't share crop. I guess my great great grandfather bought that original 60 acres of land, and he grew up farming it and raising livestock and crops on that for his family. And then as the following generations came out, they bought more land or started to lease more land, and that's what really took us from leasing land, should say. I'm down here in the Delta right now, down in Arkansas, and I hear about sharecropping a lot more. But growing up in Virginia, that wasn't a common term in production ag that I'm familiar with.
Okay, let's get into it. You do what? You own a farm. I mean, y'all farmers. Y'all farm what? Tell us a little bit about the business.
I try to feed you every day, brother. That's what I do. I'm a fifth generation row crop farmer.
Row crop.
Row crop.
What does that mean?
Row crop means a commodity crop. When I say corn, I don't mean sweet corn. We plant large acres of field corn for feed, soybeans, wheat, rice. Those are the commodities that produce the food, fiber, and fuel. Oftentimes I'm traveling or I tell somebody I'm a farmer, say, oh, I want to buy some of your corn, or they just assume that I'm a vegetable or produce farmer, or I'm trying to hustle some watermelons out the back of the pickup truck. That's not the case. And it's only a small handful of Black farmers remaining that are in that commodity space. And that's one of the things that I want to get in and talk to you about, because commodity business is completely different than the produce business. You can live in the suburbs of the city and go home after work, go and eat a nice supper, and go out to your greenhouse behind the house and garden and grow your tomatoes and your squash and what you don't consume for your family. On Saturday morning, you want to load up your big old SUV, take it down to the farmer's market, put your hat on and say you're a Black farmer. And I can commend you for that. But you don't have the same challenges as a row crop farmer that's buying $800 a ton fertilizer, $3.50 a gallon diesel fuel, putting into a tractor or irrigation motor, a $400,000 tractor, $600,000 sprayer, $800,000 combine. The barrier of entry is a lot higher in the commodity space. So it's only a handful, a select few of Black row crop farmers left in this country. Statistics show that in 1920, there were 1 million Black farmers in this country compared to 4 million white farmers, a 1-to-4 ratio. In present day, when we look around, there are less than 10,000 Black row crop farmers like myself compared to over 1 million white farmers. That's over 200 plus to 1 ratio. And, you wonder what happened or how. It's not because it rained on the white farmer side of the road and it didn't rain on the Black farmer side of the road. Because there were some inequities that took place back then that still create present day disparities. A lot of people may have heard of the Black farmer lawsuit back in the 90s, the class action lawsuit. And I was in college. My father was very instrumental in that. I used to haul the mule around for the protests that Black farmers were doing in DC and Atlanta and different cities. And USDA did an investigation because they said, y'all Black farmers are protesting, what's going on? Let's dig into this. And at the end of their finding, they found out it took on average 30 days to approve a white farmer's loan and 120 days to approve a Black farmer's loan. So you go into that local government office in February, get your operating loan, figure within 30 days you'll have your money by the 1st of March to go start.
Let me stop you there. I mean, no disrespect. What do you mean operating loan? Every year you have to get a loan from the bank to up the money to get the crops because it takes 6 months. Go ahead and tell that story.
So in this space that we operated in the commodity business, most farmers borrow in the spring to plant their crops and they pay back in the fall at harvest. And they call it your operating loan because you need it to operate, to buy your seed, your chemicals, your fertilizer, your fuel. And, you that's what you operate off of. Because in farming, we don't get a check every Friday or the 1st and the 15th like a lot of people.
Yeah,
we get a check at harvest. So we have to go from the harvest in the fall of last year to the harvest in the fall of this year.
Okay, let me stop you there. The harvest is when?
Well, depending on your crop.
All right.
So in Virginia, we do a lot of double cropping. So we'll plant a winter crop like a winter wheat, a winter barley. Typically that goes in the fields in October, November, and that harvest will come off in June of the following year. And then we'll plant soybeans right behind the combines in June and harvest those soybeans in October, November. So that's what we call double cropping.
I got you.
But if I didn't plant winter crops, like down in Arkansas, we just planted rice and full season soybeans. Those crops going in the spring. after the last frost is gone, so it won't kill the crops. You'll start planting in mid to late March. That's when we plant rice in April, and we plant soybeans in April and May. Soil temperature has to be a certain temperature for soybeans to germinate in the ground, and you don't want to put them out there too early. Like I said, frost can kill these crops. So those are your spring. That's monocropping. So you plant in the spring, harvest in the fall. And because we crop rotate on an interval, some of our acres will get planted to a winter crop, and others will just be planted in spring crops.
I got you. I understand that. So now you got to get the money up front to get the supplies,
Yes, sir. You got to
and
get
then
it
you
up front.
and then you got to wait till the harvest comes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Was there, and I'm sure the answer is yes. Was there racial discrimination saying that they're not even going to buy from the black farmers?
Well, in the commodity space, we sell basically to all companies that buy feed. So no one's ever said that we won't buy from you. Okay. These big grain elevators that buy from everybody, you've got a truck, you get in line, you can sell your grain. Okay. That's one thing about the commodity space. Everybody's treated off the same grades and measures and weights and everything like that. So if Anthony showed up down here with a load of soybeans on his family farm, you can go and sell those soybeans. There's some brothers that I know that live up north in the city. They still have family land down here in the south, and they'll come down in the spring and plant it, and they'll have one or two guys that take care of it. But during harvest, they'll come back down for a couple of weeks to harvest their crop. So it's you can sell it on the market for whatever that price is for that commodity.
Is there a difference in the soybeans and the texture, the quality, the corn or whatever else you sell that makes yours a better quality than other people?
No, we all pretty much down here raise U.S. #2 yellow soybeans for feed. Now, there's a certain weights and measures standard and a moisture content that the elevators buy at. So if you put a lot of love and you put a lot of inputs into that crop, and the weather's favorable, if your test weight is higher, you're going to get a premium on that. You're going to get more yield, but if you just let it go, you don't tend to the crops, the weeds are taking it over, you won't get that quality. So it's all about how you take care of your crop, how you handle your business.
Okay, let's talk about this so people who don't know it, and I'm in one of them, I say big city man. What is the process from planting to harvest? What do you do?
So typically down here in the South, we start working the fields in the spring. We have to till the soil. We have to prepare the beds that we plant on in some of the irrigated fields. If they're non-irrigated fields, sometimes we'll plant a cover crop over the winter months and come in the spring and we'll spray to kill that cover crop, and then we'll no-till plant right in those fields. So it's a combination of conventional and no-till farming methods that we use for the different fields that we have. But typically, you've got to prep that field. When we start tilling the soil in the spring, it kind of warms the soil up because we want to plant at a certain temperature. For corn, you want 55-degree soil temperature. For soybeans, you want 60 degrees soil temperature. For cotton, you want 65. You have the soil temperature plays a major factor in that seed germination. So we plant in the spring, and typically we'll plant, and then we'll have a sprayer running behind the planter putting down a pre-emerge herbicide to pretty much make sure we don't have any weeds and grass that are going to take the nutrients away from the crops. Then that crop gets up 6 inches tall or so, you may have to put another herbicide application on. And then you may fertilize before you plant. Sometimes we'll spoon feed it. We'll fertilize before we plant, and then we'll come back and put some post-planting. For corn, we'll side dress nitrogen, when that corn is about knee high. So it's just different stages. And then, your summer months start to come in, and then you have to start irrigating on your fields that you have the wells on and you can pump water. So we have to roll out an irrigation pipe, punch our holes in that to roll water down here. And then, as that crop matures, the hot days of summer, these long days, soybeans grow off of sunlight. So the long days that we have down in the Delta, those beans typically can grow and develop very fast. And then come fall, like right now, Some of my neighbors are starting to harvest soybeans. We're about a week behind on soybeans. We started planting rice first down here. So we started harvesting rice today.
Okay, so now to get the soybeans, how do you get them? You got machines that just go pick them off the plant or whatever, right?
Yeah, bad machines too, man. These combines are so high tech now. Combines got a 40-foot header, and we go across the field about 4.5 miles an hour trying to harvest those soybeans.
Okay.
And typically we've got a grain cart running alongside the combine, and we're unloading right into a grain cart on the go down the field. We got semi trucks, 18 wheelers lined up on the edge of the field, so that grain cart will run over, unload on that semi truck, and then it'll come back to the combine, and I can stay in that seat, keep on turning. Okay. Then once that first 18 wheelers loaded, it heads to the elevator to unload. The next one pulls in line.
I got you.
Just do that till we finish the field, then we move to the next field.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Is there a downtime in farming? Like, yeah, that's the question.
I mean, for the field work, yes. But all winter long with paperwork, meetings, educational opportunities to learn more. So it's never really a downtime. We do slow down a little bit a couple of months out of the year. Typically, we ramp up long hours during the spring, during planting season. Then once all the crops planted, we'll manage that crop, like I said, spraying, irrigation, whatever it takes, needs to do it. And then we'll ramp back up again in the fall during harvest season. So spring, we're a lot of 100+ hours a week on our operation. We slow down about 70 to 80 during the summer months, and then we'll ramp back up to those 100+ hours a week during harvest season. And a day off for us is a rainy day. Okay, catch a rain. If we get rain out of the fields, we're going early, but it's always work to do around the shop. We're always repairing equipment, working on semi trucks, things to get us ready. So when we go back to the field, we do a lot of preventive maintenance on rainy days.
So you gotta really like this, because this sounds like hard. Is it hard work what you do?
Yeah, it's hard, but I don't like it. I love it, brother. You gotta love what you do to stay in this game. It's a labor of love. It's nothing like planting a crop and watching it grow. And you take care of that crop during the year, and you got a good relationship. It's just you and the good Lord.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this, and I don't mean to throw no shade, but have you had, like, because the hot weather, it gets too hot or it rained too much, that damaged your crops, and now you in a dire straits almost?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It happens. Us farmers, we on our knees a lot because we plant and we pray. We on the ground checking behind the planter. We on the ground praying for rain, and it's Mother Nature drives the bus. And this year, I've heard a lot of old timers talk about the drought of '88, and it was a real bad drought that year. A lot of farmers, corn crop didn't make it. My first experience was the drought of 2012. I planted every acre of corn on our farm. We were over 1,000, 1,500 acres of corn that year. And as I drove the combine down the field, watching the yield monitor go 0 to 10 to 15 to 20 and back to 0, that was a very, very sad time of year, because all the love you put, we got to swing for the fences when we leave the field. So we got to put the fertilizer out, put the chemical out, and hope weather gives us that increase. This year in Virginia, we didn't plant corn. A lot of our neighbors did. And it's some of the roughest looking corn I've seen in Virginia since 2012. Again, we had 3 long weeks of June when that corn was pollinating. We didn't get any rain. And it's a lot of 4-foot tall corn that's tasseled out and very small ears on it. So,
So let me stop you there. So you made a judgment call not to plant corn because you looked at the almanac or you looked at the weather conditions. What,
no,
I'm asking you, is that some predictions that you have to do to see what we're gonna do?
Well, that judgment call was based on market. The price for corn was low. Fertilizer prices were high. So we thought that, for a lot of our ground in Virginia that's non-irrigated, we had to make a certain yield just to make a profit. And we felt that was going to be a little hard.
Okay,
so
I got you.
So we were able to lock in some forward contracts from soybeans that were attractive. And we just decided to plant more soybeans.
I got you. As we almost come to a close, um, what where's your company's rank in terms of like the big white guys? I mean, you're very impressive. So are there big white guys that's got a lot more than you? You know what I'm asking?
Oh yeah, man. It's some dudes down here farming 30, 40,000 acres. I mean, it's there are a lot of large farmers in this industry, especially down here in the South. Um, man, it's unless you're really in this every day, you really don't see it because most people ride through rural America, but they don't look back and say, well, who owns that big farm over there? Or who owns that big farm over there? Um, Black farmers, we are a dying breed. And because of the weather and the prices and those other things we were talking about, it's hard to incentivize that next generation. But here's some statistics that I'll tell you, and some of your listeners may and may not know. 2% of the world's population are farmers. So if you got 100 people in a room, you line them up on the wall, 2 of them are going to be farmers. If you take 100 farmers and line them up on the wall, 1 of them is going to be Black. Black farmers represent less than 2% of the entire farm population. And then if you're fortunate to get 100 Black farmers lined up on the wall, only 8 of those men or women are going to be full-time commodity growers, producing sweet, corn, soybeans, cotton, peanuts, and rice. That's a small herd. And then, we talked about it when I met you. The one unique part is my family's blessed to have a processing facility. We own the only Black-owned rice mill in the entire United States.
Wow,
State-of-the-art rice mill. And we process rice. Arkansas River Rice is the name of our rice mill. And when you look at Black farmers in the commodity space, they're Black farmers that grow wheat, Anthony, but there are no Black-owned wheat flour processing facilities in this whole country. Black farmers that grow cotton, no Black-owned cotton gins anywhere in the U.S. Black farmers that grow corn, but there are no corn processing facilities for corn syrup, for ethanol, for corn grits. And same thing with soybeans. There are no Black-owned soybean crushing facilities making soybean oil, vegetable oil, or soybean meal. So I graduated from college 25 years ago, and I learned that 18 cents out of every dollar spent on food makes its way back to the farm gate. The other 82 cents is spent between wholesale and retail. So what we're trying to do in our operation is vertically integrate and take the crops that we grow and come from our fields to your fork. And that's where we want to go. And that's what I love to talk to you about. And we might not have enough time, but
I got a few more minutes. What is that? But you say you don't sell directly to the consumer. What are you telling me you're trying to do right quick?
So on our commodities like soybeans and corn, we're selling to feed companies. We sell our corn to Tyson's. They grind that corn up and feed it to chickens. Okay. But in this rice business, we're looking to go to the next level and eventually want to be able to bring our rice to your dinner table. Right now, we're doing it through food service distributors. So we're trying to encourage people that are looking for supply diversity. Hey, there are Black farmers and there's a Black-owned rice mill, the only Black-owned rice mill in the country. So if you're a city mayor, you can order rice for your city jail, for your city homeless shelter, your city food pantry. Okay. You're a college or university, you can Black rice can be the food, whoever that food service distributor you use, have them source our rice for their dining service. We're looking to go to the federal government. As taxpayers, you and I buy a lot of rice. The Federal Bureau of Prisons, the Department of Education, USAID, FEMA, all these agencies procure rice. So we want to be able to be in the federal space as well.
I got you.
Rice is a commodity that's consumed all around the world.
That's right.
Different cultures, different age groups. If you're a baby, you get rice cereal in your milk.
That's right.
If you're a college kid, you eat rice because it's cheap.
Right.
So
that's right.
Everybody consumes rice.
Okay, let me add a couple more then on that note. Now, when we talked about my man in South Carolina, you said he had gold rice or something like that, right?
Mr. Chalmers, that Carolina Gold. I read an
Carolina
article.
Gold. That's not what you do, though.
No, that's a variety that's from originated more so in that low country of South Carolina down there.
Okay.
And I've read about it, but we don't grow that in the South down here. We're growing your traditional long grain and medium grain rice.
Is that Minute Maid rice?
No, sir. Well,
that's a brand, but that's what it is.
but the same rice goes through a process called parboil to make it Minute Maid. So
Oh,
they steam that rice in the husk before they dehusk it. So it's already pre-cooked, so you can cook it fast.
okay.
We don't have a parboil facility at our plant. Our rice is that traditional long grain rice that you put in your rice cooker for 30 minutes and you let it
I got you. I
slow and
got
slow.
you. I
Okay.
got you. A couple more, man. Can we jamming? When I told you I was at my man Chalmers' place, he told me I had to worry about the alligators and the snakes. Do you have is that something that you have to deal with growing your crops?
No alligators, but I do wear snake boots when I walk the rice fields. Uh, you got water standing out in these fields, these hot temperatures, and those snakes want to be down in there catching frogs and things like that. So, that's why I wear boots all the time. And when I
Are they
walk
are
around,
they up to the knee or how high are the boots?
they're calf high, yeah, between your knee and your calf. You know,
Okay. Have you ever been bitten?
no sir, not looking forward to it either.
But it could happen. What
It
kind of
could.
snake would it be?
Well, down here in the South, there's a lot of cottonmouths. It's a lot of cottonmouths in these fields, copperheads, uh, moccasins, all of them in the same family. But in these
You
rice
see them though,
fields,
don't you?
oh yeah, yeah, you see them. You see them crossing the road in front of you. I mean, these big fields we got and ditches on both sides. The ditches are full of water. They're just swimming in the ditches all the time.
Oh, I got you. Okay, we got rid of that. I got one more. How wealthy can somebody be? If and I mean, on a good to be a farmer. I mean, if you were trying to encourage somebody to be a farmer, someone to become a black person watching this. Otherwise, you could tell them not just that I got a easy. Well, you told them you work hard, so that might scare some people off. But you did tell them I love it because this is what I do. I love it. But then can you also tell them, hey, I can make a good living doing this?
You can make a good living, but what I want your listeners to understand is not just a good living, but it's doing what you want to do. And the one thing about it, when you buy land, that's the one thing the good Lord's not making any more of, Anthony. I don't care where you go, but you got a piece of that rock. They make cars every day, they build houses every hour, but the good Lord's not making any more land. And when we look at some of the wealthiest people in the world, just in the state of Arkansas, Bill Gates is one of the largest privately held landowners in the state. Across the whole United States, he owns 240,000 acres of land. So when you think back about Black folks in agriculture, 1920, Black folks owned 16 million acres of land. Present day, we own 2 million. That's a 14 million acre land loss right there, Anthony. And it didn't erode off the coastal plains of Virginia or the coastal plains of California. That land changed hands. Now, if you do the math and you quantify what your grandfather could have bought land at $500 an acre for, and now it's worth 5,000, and you quantify 5,000 across 14 million acres of land, that's a lot of dough, bro. That is a lot of dough, and that wealth has been removed from the Black agricultural community and we'll never get it back. So Black folk, we need to look at land and creating legacies for our children. My father told me and my sisters, he said, the closest thing I can do to planting a money tree for y'all is buying land and setting it up. And if you don't farm it, you rent it to your white neighbors that want to farm it. And every year they'll give you a royalty check for it, year after year after year. Land is something that we do not invest in because we typically do not know what to do with it. But every acre you own, if it can't grow you crops, it needs to grow you cattle. If it can't grow you cattle, it needs to grow you trees. Hell, you can put solar farms on it if you want to. Your land should be generating revenue for you. And I encourage folks to look at buying land. I chair a nonprofit organization called the National Black Growers Council. And our mission is to improve the efficiency, productivity, and sustainability of Black row crop farmers. So I encourage your listeners to look up that organization and be glad to help anyone I can.
Okay. With that said, let's promote you and that organization. What's the websites and how does somebody who's watching this say, okay, I want to buy your rice, or if you're ready for that, or whatever.
So our family website is Haney Farms. That's haneyfarms.com. HAYNIE. HAYNIEFARMS.com.
Right.
Our rice mill website is www.arkansasriverrice.com.
Right.
And finally, the National Black Growers Council, the nonprofit organization, is nationalblackgrowerscouncil.com. COUNCIL. So those 3 websites, they can look me up, PJ Haney,
Right.
on LinkedIn, on social media.
Yeah.
And we host field days around the country to educate our community on the latest and greatest that agriculture has to offer.
Okay. I got one more that keep coming to mind. If somebody wanted to come down to your place, do y'all have a harvest festival type thing where you might be at and everybody's sitting there eating at the, eating at the campsite or something that I might say, man, I'm going down there next year to hang out with you all. Is there something like that in your
It's
town,
not.
in your county?
It's not, but you're not the first person to ask me about that. Typically, our harvest is hit it hard and get it out the field before winter sets in. And so, we can't kick back until the crop is out. So typically then it's kind of, we're getting into that Thanksgiving. We try to have everything out the fields and plant it back by Thanksgiving. So we slow down a little bit in December, January, February, but we ramp back up come spring. But
Okay.
That December is when we have our annual meetings and we do things like that. And we gather for workshops and learning and networking opportunities.
Okay.
Our National Black Growers Council will be in Charleston, December 11th through the 14th for our annual conference, Charleston, South Carolina.
It's called what now? The National what?
National Black Growers Council,
Okay.
NBGC.
Okay. Hey man, I always ask everybody, is there a question that I have not asked you? Something that come to mind, something you want to tell people? I mean, anything like that?
You didn't ask me about the future. The
All right.
future is what I'm excited about because young Black kids need to know about the opportunities in agriculture. Every time I get a chance to get a young kid out on the farm and get up on that tractor, that combine, I want them to appreciate where the food comes from. And if that young kid wants to be an engineer, I want them to consider agriculture. If that young kid wants to be a chemist, I want them to consider helping to develop the herbicides and the fungicides that we use on our crops. If that kid wants to be in marketing, look at agriculture. There is no culture without agriculture, Anthony. And I don't care where you go in the world, regardless of your age, your race, your religion, or your political affiliation, food is the one thing that connects us all. Every one of your listeners that woke up this morning, if their TVs didn't come on, they'd be okay. If their cars didn't start, they'd be fine. But if they couldn't pop a cup of coffee or a hot biscuit, Houston, we have a problem. So food connects everybody, brother. And that's the one thing that sustains us regardless of anything else. And we are feeding a growing world. Right now, farmers like myself feed 7 billion people a day. And by the year 2050, that's projected to feed 9 billion people. So with more and more city folk building houses and parking lots and cars, that's less and less soil for us to grow food on. So we need young kids to be research and development to give us these varieties that won't succumb to the drought like we're having this year and will yield high enough to feed more people. So, man, we can do a whole nother segment on that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
The future is the key. I want young Black kids to know that agriculture is sexy. Ag is cool. And they can get in it and they can thrive in it. And they don't have to be a farmer walking the fields every day either, okay?
Oh, I love it. Hey, everybody, that's what we do is, man, can y'all feel the passion? Y'all feel the passion on Strong Inspirations? My man's serious about this. And he cool, too. He wear the hat, but he was suited. And the suit looked nice. Wasn't no overall. The man was sharp. I was like, damn, who is this dude? And then he was up on stage, everybody. So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. Well, we're giving it to you from all the angles. Hit the like button on this. There is no love button, and I know you loved it because you can feel the passion as I did. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. You get notified. Tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Go to his website. Let's promote this guy and promote this company and then Black farmers. And let's encourage some people to be farmers per what he had said and what we do understand. And we know that's true because I'm eating something tonight. There's no question. Something that it was grown somewhere. And I had rice earlier today. I like rice. Got a problem. I put sugar on it, but I like rice. That's another story, everybody. To you, my brother, I say this and I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love who you are. I love what you become. Your great-great-grandfather, many times great, made this your career. He came out and said, hey, I ain't gonna be like that, what they tried to institute in me. I'm gonna be my own man. And he passed it down. You caught the vibe. And I'm sure your brothers and sisters, or that's another story, or whoever, they caught it. Your father caught it. And y'all down there making changes. Y'all standing strong among them white folks. I know you are. And they looking at y'all like, man, he made the right decision on that corn. He a little smarter than us on that corn. I appreciate that. Everybody, thank you for watching Strong Inspirations. We out. Thank you. Peace.